as either parallel series of rosary in brackets circular form, I mean, whose cost of construction varies depending on different factors. The pond culture system can be extensive, semi-intensive, and intensive depending on the level of management, capital investment, and technology involved in production.
All right, thank you. So a fish pond simply means a section or a structure used to hold a standing body of water that can be standing or having a limited flow. Ponds can be widely used structures for commercial fish farming in East Africa. Are you able to see at the extreme corner here where we have these pictures? This parcel has engulfed water in one area, but the water has ability to move out of the cage and come back. But the fish has no ability to escape out of the nets. So it can be a square, parallel, or circular in form, but their construction varies according to the farmer's capital and the technology involved when you are constructing such ponds. Is this page clear?
Yeah.
Yes, Master.
Okay, here we have different types of ponds. These ponds depend on the site. One of the following types of ponds may be constructed. The first one, Becky, read for us the first type of pond.
Embankment pond into brackets, levee ponds. This pond is built by construction of walls above ground level to impound water. There is no excavation of the ground. It can be built on any agricultural land, especially flat lands. This pond is difficult to fill with water, but easy to drain. Pumping is needed to fill the pond.
Okay, thank you. So the first type of pond is the embankment pond. Just like the way you see this one here. The pond is built by constructing the walls at ground level to impound water, meaning you limit the movement of water, such that water is kept inside the excavated ground. Excavated ground, if you get this area, this piece of land, and then you remove, just like the way you construct a swimming pool. Have you, members, have you come across a swimming pool before?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you go to a swimming pool, you find that they have excavated, they have removed a large sum of soil from this place, causing a depression, and that depression collects water. So after that, after removing the soil which is inside here, they build the walls. Some you can put there tiles. Okay, but for the case of this fish, you don't have to put tiles there, because the fish keep on feeding on the soil and other micro living organisms which are found inside the soil. It can be built on any agricultural land, especially the flat lands. This pond is difficult to fill with water, but easy to drain. Putting in water is hard. Putting in water is hard, but withdrawing the water, because you have to change water inside the fish pond after a certain period of time, such that you avoid causing a disease inside the pond. So changing water is hard, is easy, but introducing new water is hard. That's why they have constructed here outlet where the pointer is, Then we have a slope. That slope allows the movement of water. And then here is the inlet. Make sure that when you're constructing this type of fish pond, a main water source has to be there. Okay. So the other type of pond we have, the excavated pond. It is a pond built by digging out the soil, and the soil is used to build the embankment or the leaves for the pond. Remember, in the first one, they only extract the soil and then they build the walls using cement and bricks. But here, you use the very soil which has come from the excavated depression. It is easy to fill with water, but difficult to drain. Partially excavated pond with low walls. Just like the way you see this last one here, this one is a very good example of an excavated. The very soil which was inside the depression was used to build the walls. In this type of pond, soil from the excavation is used to build the lower walls of the pond. The ideal site for this pond should have a slight slope so that the water supply channel can be constructed slightly above the discharge channel. In this case, pumping is neither needed for filling nor empty. You don't need to bring a pump or a machine which helps you to withdraw the water from the pond, because the terrain, the landscape favors easy withdrawal of water and refilling. Can you differentiate between embankment pond and the excavated pond?
Yes.
Hello, members.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can you differentiate between the two?
Yes.
Okay. So we have advantages of rearing fish inside a pond. Sylvia, read for us the first two.
Ponds can be easily positioned near the farmer's home to provide optimum security against theft and predatory birds and animals. They are easy and cheap to construct.
All right, thank you. The ponds can easily be put next to your home for easy supervision and security. And even you protect against the wild birds. There are those birds which enjoy eating flesh. If you abandon your fish pond far away, they will take advantage and they start feasting on the fish. They are easy and cheap to construct. Constructing a pond and constructing a piggery. A piggery becomes more expensive compared to a pond. Earthen ponds provide cheap source of food from natural food growing at the bottom. The living organisms which are inside the soil. Earth simply means the real earth, the real soil which has not been cemented. Because by the moment you cement it below, you are going to cut off the micro living organisms which would have been eaten by this fish. So that's an advantage of this type of pond. You reduce the cost of feeds. The other point says the earth walls and the bottom stop instant temperature changes of water pond. The soil has the ability to maintain a certain temperature for a given period of time, compared to when you have cemented the pond, or if you have put tiles. The temperatures will keep on changing until they become unfavorable for the fish. And then the last point says harvesting of fish is easy. You don't have to think about putting on a life jacket to go and fish, looking for a boat, looking for a very big net. You just get your hook, you can harvest your fish from your farm. Is this page clear?
Yes, master.
It is.
We have disadvantages of fish culturing. Disadvantage of keeping fish inside a pond. Becky, read for us the first 4 disadvantages.
High initial cost. The financial investment required in the setting up and operating and maintenance of the pond is comparatively high. Pollution. Ponds, especially excavated, are prone to pollution carried with runoff or floods during heavy rainfall. Ponds encourage production. Ponds encourage production of weeds which may prevent growth of phytoplankton and may be used as hiding places by possible predators. Ponds are likely to encourage muddy conditions which affect growth of plankton and impair vision of the fish, limiting their ability to find food.
There are too much silting because main ponds are commonly earthen and silting and mud accumulation at the pond bottom. Because most of the water is coming from the ground, the water may contain some heavy metals, low dissolved oxygen, low pH, and low temperature. More labor is required in the construction and maintenance of the pond.
All right, thank you. So at the initial stage, when you're just starting this project, it may look so costly in a way that buying materials to set up a pond compared to other enterprises. Pollution. Most of the farmers nowadays use chemicals such as herbicides, pesticides. When they use these chemicals, the chemicals dissolve into the soil. When it rains, running water has the ability to wash these chemicals into our ponds. And such chemicals will kill the fish, leading to fish kill. The fish dies. So the other point says, ponds encourage production of weeds, which may prevent the growth of planktons, phytoplanktons, and may be used as hiding places for predators. Planktons are feeds which these fish feed on. So when weeds grow before the phytoplanktons, there's going to be competition. And at the end of the day, the phytoplanktons will be suppressed, causing calamity, hunger inside the pond. And it also increases your expenditure on buying feeds for the fish. Ponds are likely to encourage muddy conditions, which affect growth of planktons and impair vision of the fish. Too much mud inside the bottom of the pond can easily spoil the eyes of fish. And the fish will not be able to see food, even if you put it there. Hence, that automatically leads to death of the fish. There is too much silting because many ponds are commonly earthen. Silting and mud accumulation at the pond bottom. Silt can easily cause blocking of the draining pipe, the inlet, and the outlet. So when such parts are closed, it means that it becomes hard to refill water and to remove contaminated water from the pond. And because the water is coming from the ground, the water may contain some heavy Metals. All of us know that there are so many metals which are found below the ground. Some are undissolved, some are heavy, and then the oxygen may not be dissolved properly for the fish to consume or to use. And then the low temperatures, too cold, can make the fish dormant. And then the last point says, more labor is required in construction and maintenance of the pond. You have to keep on changing the water. You have to keep on monitoring the progress of the pond. And that becomes expensive and costly. Is this page okay?
Yes, Master.
Okay, another disadvantage is here, increased algae blooms. Due to the warm temperatures and the increased nitrification of the ponds, the rate of algae growth may exceed the rate of algae consumption by the fish. Yes, it is true that fish feeds on algae, but the problem is when this algae surpasses the number of fish or the rate at which the fish feeds on the algae, it becomes a problem. How does it become a problem? Algae bloom can cause a considerable threat to fish in a pond because the algae can consume available oxygen either during a nocturnal respiration or by increasing the biological oxygen demand of the blossom. Suddenly dies with the resulting of suffocation of fish. These algae have the ability to utilize all the oxygen which is present inside the water. At the end of the day, the oxygen becomes limited, becomes no more, and the fish has to die. So make sure that you regulate the amount of algae around your fish ponds. I hope you are able to differentiate between algae and plankton.
Yeah.
Algae, how can you
Yes.
differentiate between algae and plankton? Phytoplanktons. Yes.
Algae, these are photosynthetic aquatic plants. But then the phytoplanktons, these are small living organisms that fish feeds on.
Okay, a good trial. Becky, do you have a different
I
definition?
think, yes. I think the algae are the plant, let me call them like the plant, the food, but in plant form. Then the phytoplanktons are the small living organisms.
Okay. That is good. You're also there. Okay, so after the two different types of fish ponds, we have this one here, which is called the runways. Okay. Becky, read for us. Runways. What is involved in a runway? How is a runway different from excavated pond and embankment pond?
Runways. This is a semi-closed structure made from concrete blocks or other durable material. Runways are designed to provide water flow through the system to enable rearing, much density. Runways are designed to provide water flow through the system to enable rearing much denser population of fish and fish of different species. Water Water moves quickly through the structure, providing oxygen and flushing out metabolic wastes, particularly ammonia. Although the earthen raceways exist, majority of them are made of concrete. Though the earthen type is cheaper to build due to high velocity and big volume of water. Water seepage and erosion do occur.
All right, thank you. So, how to make sure that you are able to differentiate between excavated and embankment, ponds, and raceways? This is a semi-enclosed structure made from concrete blocks or other durable material. The raceways are designed to provide water flow through the system to enable rearing much denser population of fish and fish of different species. Water moves quickly through the structure, providing oxygen and flushing out metabolic waste, particularly ammonia. Okay, so there, like you see, a river moves one way and it moves one direction. So you bring your blocks, you block the movement of that water such that some has to remain and then the rest of the water moves through the blocks. As simple as that. You enclose the movement of water, but the water continuously moves out of the engaged the cage which you have created using the blocks. I'm going to show you the picture of that such that you are able to differentiate. Let us see here. Okay, there was this here. Assume these nets which this gentleman put here are the blocks. Okay, and this is running water. The water moves through the cage. So the farmer is able to rear fish inside the created triangle or rectangle. But the water which is inside keeps on moving in and out. Contaminated water which contains ammonia moves out and then clean water comes in. So that's what we call the raceway. Advantages of using a raceway. Xavier, tell us, what are the advantages of the raceway?
The level of oxygen in the water is high, can be used in intensive fish farming due to accommodation of high stocking densities. Metabolites are continuously removed, can be used to rear a variety of fish species. Occupies much less space than ponds. Uses less water, which is important where water is scarce or where water is pumped.
Okay, thank you. So under this type of fish pond, the level of oxygen is high in the water because fresh water keeps on moving in and can be used in intensive fish farming. Intensive simply means when you have a minimum number which you are interested in and you can accommodate them. A small area being able to handle a bigger number of fish. The metabolites are waste materials which come out of the animal's body, the fish's body, whereby we have the ammonia. Ammonia comes through the urine, and then even the fecal material which comes from the fish is moved away because the running water takes it off out of the water and the cage. It can be used to rear a variety of fish species, different types of fish species. You can decide to put there tilapia. You can decide to put there a catfish and the rest of the different types. It occupies much less space than ponds. Okay, this method has the ability to occupy very little space, but for a pond, you have to get a very big piece of land. So it means that this one could be better than the other. It uses less water, which is important where water is scarce. There are some places which have limited reliability of water. The water is scarce, so you can use this method if you are able to just pump your water. But this method also has its own disadvantages, the demerits. One, it requires a lot of water and a reliable water source. If you have no reliable water source, it means that you cannot afford to construct a raceway. Disease organisms in one raceway can easily spread to other raceways downstream. If you have a number of raceways, for example, you have A at the first front, and then you have B. So water from A will flow through the raceway A, and then to go to raceway B, meaning there's the ability to move these pathogens from one to another, hence easily spreading diseases in the fish pond. And then the other, where the segments are arranged. The segment simply means the raceways, because some of them are put in segments. Segment A, B, they are series. The metabolites may accumulate in the last segment. Since all of us know that the waste materials will move from the first one, goes to the second one, goes to the third one. So the last one will be the one to accumulate. And this becomes dangerous and disaster to the fish living in the last pond. And then the other point says, it requires high investment due to increased construction and production cost. You have to be able to provide feeds, because the feeds can easily be washed away from one race or segment to another. So it means that feeds have to be put there. These fish cannot look for their own food. And then the last point says, requires high technical skills, which sometimes are limited. Not everybody has the skill and knowledge to construct a segment. So those are the disadvantages of that method. Becky, read for us, a dam system. Is it better to use a dam to capture fish? What is involved in the dam system? Yes, please.
Dam system. Dam culture involves the blocking of a stream or river, resulting in a large collection of water behind the blockage. The barrage can be constructed out of soil, concrete, metal, or marine wood. The site selected for the dam construction should be gently sloping, with soil of high water holding capacity, free from strong winds, and with reliable water supply from a stream or river. Maintenance of the dam. Remove excess plants, keep the level of water in the dam constant, repair any leakage in the walls and outlet, cut down the vegetation near the dam to prevent the roots of the vegetation from damaging and cracking dam walls, control wild fish, control weeds, both terrestrial and aquatic weeds, fertilize the dam regularly to keep the water green, apply lime regularly to maintain optimum pH, desilting the dam regularly, and repairing broken or leaking dam walls.
All right, thank you. So in this method of fish culturing, if you don't want to use a pond and you don't want to use the raceway, you can use this method of dam. This involves blocking of the stream or river, resulting into a large collection of water behind the blockage. When you block the water which moves, you limit its movement, and the water that water just collects. When that water collects, you use that very water to rear fish. Or a barrage. A barrage can be constructed out of the soil which is available. You can either use concrete, a metal, or marine wood. The site selected for the dam construction should be gently sloping with the soil of high water holding capacity and then free from strong winds, because this wind can easily come and take away the blockage. And the water should be reliable. This stream should be continuous. Don't wait when it rains and for you say, yeah, now let me get this water, I block it. It does not work that way. It has to be a permanent source of water flowing. How do you maintain the dam after causing it? Since a dam is created when a running source of water like a river is blocked, that water collects. How do you maintain that water there? Remove excess plants which are around and within. Keep the level of water in the dam constant. When the water drops, make sure you add in more. When the water increases beyond normal, make sure that you remove some. Repair any leakage in the walls and outlet. Why should you repair such leakages? Because such leakages have ability to regulate or reduce the amount of water present inside the dam. Cut down the vegetation near the dam to prevent roots of vegetation from damaging and cracking the dam walls. After constructing your dam, make sure that you remove the big trees. Remove all the big trees which are available around your dam, because they can break the material you have used to enclose your dam. Control wild fish. The wild fish can easily consume every type of fish that you have inside your dam. So make sure that you control them. Don't be excited. Yeah, tilapia has come inside. My Nile perch has come. Nile perch will eat everything inside your pond. You find it there very satisfied, but it will be a loss. Control weeds, both terrestrial and aquatic weeds. The weeds which are on top of the ground, and then those that grow in water. Control them to allow proper usage of oxygen. When weeds compete or grow in large numbers, they compete for oxygen, and this may lead to death of fish due to lack of oxygen. And then the other point says, fertilize the dam. Why should you apply fertilizers? To encourage the growth of planktons. Okay, so make sure that the dam is having green water, because such materials, the living organisms that grow inside the water, are used as food to the fish. Apply lime regularly to maintain optimum pH. Fish requires a certain type of pH. When it increases, you have to lower it. When it reduces, you have to pull it up to neutral. This is whereby you have to have the knowledge of the pH behind your mind. And then you have the silting, the dam. Remove all the silt which is at the bottom of the dam. How will you do this? By emptying the dam, draining off the water, and then you remove. The last one is to repair the broken walls or the leaking dam walls. Make sure that you repair them such that you are able to sustain fish production for the next more years. Is this page clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we have the tank system. It's one of the intensive culture systems common in areas with limited fresh. One of the intensive culture systems common in areas with limited fresh water. Tank can be made of concrete, fiberglass, marine metal, plastics, or other hard materials free from toxic substances. Just like any other tank which you may have at home there, you decide to put in fish. But make sure that there is an inlet and outlet. Outlet is to drain the water in case it is dirty, and then inlet is to introduce in clean water inside the tank. What are the advantages of this system of rearing fish? Advantage number one, it is easy to manage and suitable for experimental work. When you're doing research on this fish, you have ability to access the fish so easily. And easier to manage. You can remove the water and refill. You can give the animals feeds at the right time. And then even diseases are easy to control. Control of diseases is very easy in this method. Feeding and harvesting takes less time since fish are held in small space. You can easily harvest and provide them feeds so easily. High stock densities are possible. You can put very many fish inside the tank. It can be practiced indoors and therefore lends itself to urban farming. You can practice it even in urban, in town. Put it inside your gate, in your enclosed gate, behind, on your you can either put on your rooftop, you can put behind the yard. It cannot be compared to dam method. For the dam, you have to get a river which is moving and it block. But for the tank, you just get a tank, you put in a minimum amount of water, introduce in your fry, and it multiplies. It is easier to control the environment and quality of water because it requires very little water. And you can easily know that this water now is spoiled and you replace. It requires a very small space, okay, compared to other systems. But it also comes with its disadvantages. You read the disadvantages of this method.
Requires a lot of capital investment to construct or buy tanks and to refill the tanks with water periodically and to install oxygen tanks. There is a higher risk of mortality due to disease outbreak, mechanical or electrical failure, easily polluted with solid waste concreted at the bottom. This leads to increased biological oxygen demand, requires a lot of skills. Disease outbreak may not be easy to control.
Okay. Thank you. It requires a lot of capital. You have to have enough money to buy the tank, to refill the tanks with water after different period of time. And even you should have to install the oxygen tanks, because oxygen is a necessity inside the tank for the fish. And there is a high risk of mortality. The fish can easily die due to disease attack or electrical failure. In case the electricity fails to pump in oxygen, or the machine which is supposed to pump the water inside the tank is faulty, the fish will have to die because you will fail to provide the water. And then the other is, it's easily polluted with solid waste concentrated at the bottom. This leads to increased biological oxygen demand. The dirt which collects below the tank can easily kill the fish through suffocation. And then the last point, the second last says, requires a lot of skills. You should have the skill to rear fish inside the tank. The last one says, diseases can easily break out, and it will be hard for you to control such a disease. Okay? Is this page clear for today?
Yes.
Is there anything that you feel is not yet comfortable with you, that you need more light before we conclude this lesson?
No.
Okay, so we shall stop there for today. Next time on Friday when we meet, we shall discuss about cage system and its advantages, and then we shall continue in that way. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Master, I have a request.
Yes, please.
I was like, maybe you help me and send me this work which you have handled today, because I don't have the notes.
You don't have?
Yes, the notes that I have are very, let me call them, they oversived the notes, so this part here is not there.
The first one I sent?
No,
Which
this
note?
one that we have just.
Okay, let me first ask, which notes are you saying that they are shallow?
Okay, the ones I have.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll forward.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll forward in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
But you have not even done the assignment I gave you last time. What has happened?
No, Master, I've done it, but I've not yet forwarded. I think let me do it after here.
Because there's more assignment to conclude the other topic of beekeeping.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your time and have a blessed day.
Likewise.